Hello and welcome to lesson number 47 in our current micro series in Lockdown 3. Today is the 19th of March 2021 and we shall be looking at study number 47 in the set of 60. Now this study I did cover in great detail last year in the final week of the 2020 series in the very first lockdown of the pandemic. So if you want to look at more detail, go back and have a look at the week commencing the 8th of June 2020 and you'll find 4 lessons which actually encapsulate a lot of detailed thinking and discussion on this study. So today we're having more of a brushstroke overview, as we are on all of these studies. It says it's a study for the left hand. Now that really doesn't give you an indication of what it's about because they all use the left hand, of course. And really, I suppose what he's really just sort of exploring is clean shifts and arpeggiatic shapes around this sort of area of the cello, just in sort of about 5th position, something like that. So you're just getting slightly out of your comfort zone. We're not quite into using the thumb, and it can feel a bit of a stretch and a strain. Now in that location, it's really important that you keep a really good strong hand shape. So what we're looking at here is to try and keep the hand very much sort of straight on and no pronation. So we don't want this sort of pronation, you're trying to keep the hand straight on. And beware of not leaving your elbow low and behind. You need to bring that up and round a little bit, never higher than the wrist though. You can see if I flex like that, it's a weak spot now and it won't help your fingers at all. So keep the elbow lower than the wrist. So that's our considerations for the left hand, more or less. The one other consideration in the left hand, before we look at the bow, is in bar 12, where we have a B flat minor arpeggio. There's a little tiny substitution shift going on in there on a slur. So that's just for a moment of having a think when you look at this study. Beware of that. Now in terms of the structure, it's fairly straightforward. It's in common time. It really could have been written in 12/8 because every beat is tripleted. And it flows, and the standard bowing is 6/12 bow. And then we also have, provided for us by Feuillard, 3 variations of the bow. So the first is just staccato, and that may give you an opportunity to get familiar with the left hand patterns before you clean up your shifts. And you'll notice where you'll have to clean them. For example, in the very first bar, we have got an inarticulate shift there, 4/4, going from higher to lower position, which is always a little bit more challenging going against gravity. That shift is also challenged in the second variation of bowing, which is more of a swing bow. We go right to the far end, a couple of little notes, come back, a couple of little notes. So we have, and you'll see that in there we still have got the inarticulate shift within the slur. So that really does highlight that energy that you'll need in order to execute that cleanly. The final variation of bowing is Zedbone, which we always find rather delightful. So this is where you do half a stroke, a little tiny single note coming back the other way, and then finish the stroke off, and then you do the same coming back the other direction. So we have, and that does flow very well. I think you'll quite like that one. Other things to mention, the study is unusually in a minor key. We're in C minor, and rather fascinatingly, he goes for some interesting modulations. So we actually do end up passing through F sharp major. That's a very long way away from C minor, and I think rather delightful. So here it is. Something of that order. One thing I didn't execute as I would wish in bar 11, and that was the beginning of those crossing arpeggios. You need to rotate to a really flat bow here for the very beginning of that bar, and I was a little bit slow turning the angle of the bow there. Watch out for it.